Hello guys, welcome back to yet another video. And wow, what an exciting weekend we're having so far. First of all, you'll notice I don't have my microphone anymore. Well, I tried to make a video earlier and let's just say the sound was not sounding. It wasn't clear. And I just said, let me make a retake of the video without a microphone. Hopefully, you hear me better than the last video. I mean, I can't upload that because it was not clear at all. Anyway, so far the weekend has been exciting, and if you are not watching any race so far this weekend, if you've missed anything, please don't miss the race tomorrow because I can guarantee you it's gonna be a blockbuster. Anyway, let's get into what has been happening in the weekend so far. So we open up the weekend with special liveries from like 3 different teams. I think McLaren had they had the chrome design back. It's not new because they used it last year as well in some Grand Prix. I think they first used it in the British Grand Prix last year, but the chrome is back on the McLaren. I mean, it's a good look. Also, the Alpine. Now, if you don't know McLaren before, if you're looking at the Alpine, you would think there are 4 McLaren cars on the track, but now it's just they looked too alike. I don't know what they were going for, but you know what? If you didn't know, you would have said the Alpine was a McLaren B-spec car. And you know what? They are actually performing like a McLaren. I mean, not both of them. One of them, I'll get to that later. And yeah, Haas, it's the home Grand Prix of the team. So of course, they have to rep America. I think they have some stars, some nice livery on the car. So yeah, that's so. And then the next thing was, well, I guess we can call this the legacy of Daniel Ricciardo right now because from 2025, the point for the fastest lap in every race will no longer be there. Formula One has decided they're going to take it off because I think it caused a bit of controversy in Singapore. A lot of people were saying maybe Red Bull told its sister team to tell Daniel Ricciardo to pit and take the fastest lap. Although RB is saying, listen, that was Daniel Ricciardo's last race. We just wanted to do something nice for him and he took it. So anyway, from next year, there will be no point for the fastest lap in Formula One until maybe they change the rule again in the future. Now, also, there was another controversy coming into this weekend. It was in the news from the beginning of the weekend that there was a team that had a tool which they used to adjust the ride height of the car from qualifying to the race. That means they made the car lower for qualifying so they can get advantage, but then they raised the ride height of the car before the race. And well, if you're part of a particular fan group, you'll be thinking of a particular team right now. And yes, it was assumed to be Red Bull. But Red Bull came out saying, yes, there's a device that does that, but it's not something they can control once the car is assembled. That, in essence, they can only do it when the car is disassembled. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, they were able to prove it that, yes, for sure, they are not cheating because, yes, for you to even assess that device and pack farming conditions, there is no way that would go unnoticed because there are CCTV cameras watching these cars from the moment they are parked to the moment they are moved to the track for the race. So there's no way in which you can perform that change without being caught. It's impossible. So, and just before after the sprint race in the morning, Formula One came out, the FIA came out with a statement saying, for now, the investigation is closed. Red Bull have proved beyond reasonable doubt that they are not using it. It doesn't give them any advantage. So yeah, it's nothing really. And then, well, this is Austin. After the 3 weeks break, what you expect? Upgrades everywhere. Almost every car brought upgrades. The Mercedes brought upgrades. McLaren brought more upgrades. They have a very fast car. They're adding more things. Aston Martin brought upgrades. Haas brought upgrades. Even Alpine. We'll get to Alpine later. Alpine brought almost all the cars brought upgrades. But except Ferrari. I mean, we had rumors before now that Ferrari were meant to be the team bringing upgrades to their car, but they didn't do it. I think it's like they are comfortable with what they have, and honestly, so far it's looking good. So now let's get into the qualifying for the sprint race. The qualifying for the sprint race was quite exciting, although, I mean, I think every session so far has been really nice. Honestly, there's been an element of surprise, even in the qualifying for the race. But in qualifying for the sprint race, Oscar Piastri was knocked out in SQ1. He qualified 16th, which is unlike Oscar Piastri, because we all know Oscar Piastri is like one of the best drivers on the grid. I mean, future world champion behavior for sure. He has been behaving like that. And yeah, his time got deleted and he didn't have time to set another lap. So yeah, he started P16 for the sprint race. I think by the end of the sprint race, I think he was in P10 or P11, thereabout. And then in SQ2, Sergio Perez was knocked out by Yuki Tsunoda. We already know the Perez situation, the Red Bull situation. Lawson is back in the car. And I think Lawson qualified P13, first competitive session for him in the car. And Perez P11 and Yuki Tsunoda P10. Although I think Yuki got up to P9 in Q3. But yes, in SQ3, Franco Colapinto, listen, let me give that guy, let's give that guy his flowers. Not even me. Everybody should give that guy his flowers. That guy is giving Alexander Albon a run for his money. Honestly, I think Albon is very lucky he has a contract for next year, because if he didn't, nah, there is no way. I don't see why Williams will not consider this guy for a seat next year. Anyway, he's going to be their reserve driver. They're going to have Sainz and Albon, so let's see how it goes. But so far, that guy is performing like he is giving Albon a run for his money. Now Albon actually has a teammate to actually keep him on his toes, for sure. Then we have Tsunoda as well. Tsunoda qualified P9 in SQ3. And we had both Haas. I think the upgrades were working very well for them in that session. I think because there was not a lot of running session and all the teams have not dialed in their cars. But at that point, Haas did well, to be honest. They qualified P6 and P8. K-Mag P8, Nico Hulkenberg was P6, so it was a good session for them. Now, into the sprint race itself, I think it went very well. One thing I was not expecting was Ferraris battling out each other. Anyway, the sprint started with Max Verstappen P1. In P2 was George Russell. P3, I think, was... P3 was... I think... I'm not mistaken, I think it was Charles Leclerc. Then P4, it was Lando Norris. And P5 was Carlos Sainz. And going backward, I've mentioned the others. So it was an amazing race, honestly. I think Max, for the first time in a long time, we have seen the Max that we haven't seen since probably... It's been a while, honestly. It's even been a while for Max starting in front, you know? So it was good to see the Red Bull back. Their upgrades are clearly working. According to Max Verstappen, the car is much more balanced. So that's what we love to hear, you know. And he walked it home from the beginning to the end. I think by the time the race finished, he had like 3 seconds to Carlos Sainz, so which was decent run, to be honest. Then Lando actually had a very good start to the sprint race. I think by turn 1, he was already up to P2. Because George Russell had a very slow, I don't know, his reaction wasn't quick and he got caught out, and yeah, he lost the place at the beginning. That Lando was up to P2, and honestly, I don't know if it's because they didn't get, McLaren didn't get enough time to dial in their car or something, but the race pace is not looking so good because the Ferraris caught up with them, at least with Lando, because Lando was in front. After all the battling they did, there was so much overtakes. I think between in the first 4 laps, the amount of times Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc overtook each other was just insane. Like, I'm like, can someone get on the radio and tell these guys to hold it? Like, please, we need this point, you know? But it was a nice battle. Eventually, Carlos Sainz came up on top, and Carlos Sainz overtook George Russell. He overtook Lando on the last lap as well. And I think Charles Leclerc would have gotten Lando as well for P3, although Lando defended his position. I know some people were saying that, oh, maybe they should have given Lando a time penalty for his defense on the last lap to Charles, but for me, it was something every driver would do, really. You would defend your position, you try everything. But he was under investigation for it, but he was cleared. He was cleared eventually. So yeah, and and for the first time in a long time, we have Max Verstappen winning a race. Mercedes, though, they're currently, I don't know, in the sprint qualifying they had good pace. They showed good pace, but in the race, maybe for Russell wasn't. He destroyed the front left of his tires, so that's why he was sliding back from P2. He dropped down to P3 to P4 to P5. I think if you had given 2 or more extra laps, Lewis Hamilton would have got him at the end there. So yeah, that's it for the sprint race. I don't want to spend too much time on that. I'm sure this video is already too long. But from there, we got into qualifying. Now the qualifying session was, oof, oh my days. Ladies and gentlemen, the big one is here. Lewis Hamilton is starting P19 tomorrow. And this is not a drill. This is real. Lewis Hamilton qualified 19th. Well, just like Oscar Piastri yesterday, he got I think his first run was deleted because of track limits. He didn't make it. He couldn't keep the car on the black stuff, as the commentators will say. He couldn't keep the car on the black stuff, and yeah, went off the track on, I think it's turn 12, and it was very close, to be honest. But even everyone got their times deleted because of that. So yeah, Lewis is starting P19 tomorrow, and his final run wasn't good enough, honestly. It was like he finished his final run and he was P16. I'm like, yo, what is going on? That's the last time Lewis Hamilton qualified in that kind of position, I think it was like maybe 2017, I think. And even then, I'm probably sure maybe he won the race. I can't remember. Anyway, and both Haas actually made it into Q2. Yeah, both of them made into Q2. But both Williams and both what's the name of this green team? Stake F1 team, as we call them, Sauber. Those are the regular culprits. But the surprise for me is actually Williams. Both of them couldn't make it to Q2, which is quite surprising given what they showed in the sprint qualifying. Colapinto in P10, Albon made it to SQ2. So it doesn't make sense that the race qualifying maybe because other cars got their cars dialed in better. So yeah. So from the bottom, Zhou, Hamilton, Bottas, then Colapinto, then Albon. So those were the 5 cars that were eliminated in Q1. In Q2, well, not so surprising. Liam Lawson actually had a very good end to Q1 because he qualified 3rd, I think, in SQ1. But then because he has a 60 place grid penalty. So he only went there to give a tow to Yuki Tsunoda, which at the end of the day wasn't useful because, I don't know, they just didn't have the performance to get into Q3, I guess. So in P15 we have Liam, Stroll, Ocon, Nico Hülkenberg. Nico Hülkenberg was so disappointed because for the Haas team, Nico is the only one that has the upgraded parts of the car. Kevin Magnussen doesn't have the upgrades on his car yet. So K-Mag made it to Q3, and Nico, which is a surprise because we all know Nico Hülkenberg, he performs well when it comes to qualifying. He is Mr. Saturday for the team at the back, for the midfield teams. He is definitely Mr. Saturday. That guy always puts the car where you least expect it to be. Like yesterday for the sprint qualifying, he put the car in P6. Nobody saw that coming, you know? So let's see what tomorrow brings for him in the race. He qualified P12 and Yuki Tsunoda was P11. Now going into Q3, this was where, wow, the first runs was amazing. Like Lando did put in a very good banker lap for the beginning, and also I think Max Verstappen was matching him pretty well up until I think turn 19. Now that is exactly where George Russell crashed. I'll get to that very soon. George Russell crashed, and because Max Verstappen could have been on pole, but because of the crash of George Russell, he had to back off the lap, and it was at the end of the qualifying session, so they could do nothing about it. But McLaren with Lando Norris with McLaren just put in a very good banker lap. That first lap, Max was just, I think he was 0.03 of a second away from pole. I think 0.031 away from pole on the first run of laps. But well, I think that's the thing about Formula One. If you have the opportunity to do it the first time, you better do it well, because you don't know if you'll get another opportunity given how short the qualifying session is. And that's what happened today, because on the second run, Max Verstappen was, I think after the first sector, he had a tenth up on Lando Norris time, and Lando was trying to make a second run. Lando had a yellow first sector. So to tell you, Max was actually going for a very good pole lap. And in the second sector, when Max was in the second sector, George Russell crashed, thereby the session ending. And if there's a yellow flag, you can't continue your lap. You have to back off. And that being the case, Lando Norris automatically got pole, but Max's lap was very good enough for P2, right? So tomorrow, the starting grid position is in P1, we have Lando Norris. In P2, we have Max Verstappen. In P3, we have Carlos Sainz. Actually, Carlos Sainz P3. Carlos Sainz came alive since the sprint race. I don't know, he's feeling confident, and I love to see it. He's giving Charles Leclerc a run for his money, you know. Charles Leclerc actually qualified P4, and in P5, you have Oscar Piastri. George, despite crashing, qualified P6. So tomorrow he's P6. And in P7, I think it was Pierre Gasly. I said I was going to talk about this. The upgrades on that car was coming, like, I don't know. Like, was this an Alpine? An Alpine performing like this? I mean, I guess the upgrades are working. Although, just as the case for Haas, same thing for Alpine. Gasly has the upgraded package, while Ocon is still on the old package. So for now, we expected this kind of performance. It shows that their upgrades are working, and they are finally getting to understand the car better and better. So wonderful performance from Pierre Gasly today. Alpine, I mean, if you're going to look like a McLaren, you should perform like a McLaren. So yeah, happy for that team. And in P8, who was P8? I think P8 was Fernando Alonso, right? I'm not even sure who P8 or P9 is. Anyway, no, I got it. P8, Fernando Alonso. P9, Kevin Magnussen, because Kevin Magnussen made it into Q3. And Perez in P10. Perez is in P10 because his first lap track limits, and when he was starting his second run, he couldn't complete it because George Russell in the wall, turn 19. Everyone had to abandon their final runs. And yeah, so that's the starting grid for tomorrow. And I have a feeling it's going to be an exciting race. It's going to be an exciting race. You shouldn't miss it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. Tomorrow, there will be a race review. So watch out for it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace. Bye-bye.